violent, it's sick, and it's deeply disturbing. But I'm fascinated. I love it. This is larger than life. This is what I want to become. I want to become a fighter. But the problem is, do I have enough guts? Do I really want to get in there and take a beating? It gets better. At the end of the night, they have the best fighter of the night award. And this young man comes up. I would say maybe 16, 17 years old. Handsome kid. And he's given this beautiful, sparkling trophy, golden trophy, by this beautiful, sparkling, golden girl. And she kisses him on the cheek. And the crowd is applauding. This is what I want for my life. I want golden, sparkling trophies. I want beautiful girls to kiss me on my cheek. And I want the crowd to applaud me. Now, that was my stepdad. Meanwhile, my real dad, who doesn't have a vicious side to him, he's a songwriter, and he's a gentleman. And each day, this gentleman goes into the city, and as a songwriter, he goes to his office, which is in the Brill Building. I don't know if you know the Brill Building. It was on, I believe it was 50th Street or so on Broadway, and it was adjacent to Jack Dempsey's restaurant. Do you know who Jack Dempsey was? Jack Dempsey was the Mike Tyson of the 1920s. He was the heavyweight champion. People loved him, people hated him, but he was a giant killer. And my dad, my quiet, wonderful dad, songwriter, and his songwriting friends would sit down and break bread with Jack Dempsey, and Joe Louis would be there. And my father would come home and he would say, I had actually cheesecake, because cheesecake was the big thing at Jack Dempsey's. I had cheesecake with Jack Dempsey, and this was all larger than life. And I wanted to become one of these guys. My dad would talk about 2-ton Tony Valento for Joe Louis, and Johnny Coleman and Gene Tunney would be there. That's what I wanted to be. Now, let's skip ahead 4 years. I'm 12 years old. Two words knocked out my father. My father's a songwriter. He's making, decent money. But the 2 words are the Beatles. They come over from England, Liverpool, and a whole new generation, whole new sound. My father and his generation, goodbye, and they all went to the side. So the problem was, and the only reason I mention this is because my mom didn't like this dynamic. And my mom, God bless her, and I really mean that, I love her, she's wonderful, but she says, you know what, I need more. And they divorced. And she married money. Hence my stepfather came in. And Mom had us living way above the poverty line, but way below the emotional line. Does that make sense? I don't know. So it was pretty tough, and I know a lot of people have tough upbringings, but there was more emotional violence, some physical violence in one household than like a New York City block. Let's go through the kids. There was Ronnie, who was older, a nice kid. He was voted friendliest in the senior class. We were all smiling on the outside, but like cringing on the inside. He wound up trying to kill himself. Pills. I think a girl jilted him. That's what it was. So, suicide. Then down below is my brother, my real brother, Dave. He's a sophomore, and they find him in our tastefully appointed bathroom. He was doing drugs, and there was a needle stuck in his arm. He was doing heroin. He's a sophomore. And the community we lived in was very much like something like this. He was sitting dead on a toilet bowl. He was DOA in the hospital. Then there was Reen. Reen was a beauty. She was the cheerleading captain, so you can imagine. She's beautiful. But subsequently, she's been in and out of mental institutions. there was Susie, my age, beautiful girl. She was the queen of her class, beautiful girl. She was seeking love for her heart from the environment that we were living in, and she found it in prostitution. And then there was me, and I found my answer down in the basement. I hurled myself down in the basement, and what I did was kind of strange. I started to fight. I wanted to be like Jack Dempsey, and I wanted to be like that kid with a trophy. And I didn't have any boxing gloves yet. I'm young. I'm still young. And I would take up rolled up socks, rolled up the socks, and I would toss them up, and I would punch the sock, and I would punch, and if the sock unraveled, it was a knockout. And the sock, is that me? If the sock was unraveled, it was a knockout. And I was fighting my father and my mother unconsciously. It was all unconscious. But I was fighting my schoolmates, Johnny Potterton and Tommy Collis, and I would be punching. And then, after I did that, I would take a coat hanger. And the coat hanger, I would unravel, and there would be exposed pipes. And I would put the coat hanger like a speed bag, and I would be hitting the speed, and I would make it so it was a hard edge, so if I missed it, it could hurt me. Those were my friends, and they were my family. And it wasn't like I was an isolate. I was well liked in school, but it was all underneath, and I was like a little mole. That was my home. It was a dark and dank place, but it was a place. It was my place. Okay, fine. Let's skip ahead 6 years. I'm 18 years old, and now I'm going to do it. I want to fight Madison Square Garden. And this all took place in northern New Jersey, a place called Closter, which is right over the bridge, not far from here. I want to fight Madison Square Garden. So I take the plunge and I enter the tournament. And I'd like to just read a very small amount here. I'm in the White Impala of Dom Ufano, great trainer. And we're going to my first fight. We're going into the Lincoln Tunnel. And violence squirmed inside my brain. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. But that's why I was sitting there in Dom's White Impala, wearing my hoodie black hat and chewing a toothpick. When violence squirms inside a guy's head, there's about 3 things he can do. He can do drugs, like my older brother. He can become mentally ill, or he can enter the Golden Gloves. I entered the Gloves. As we drove closer to St. Jude's High School, where my first fight was, I remember thinking, I'll meet any hoodlum, wise ass, or tough guy in New York City, because whoever gets in the ring with me tonight had better have as much hate and anger and fear and violence as I do. Otherwise, I'll make this face dirt. I guess I'd better introduce myself. I'm 18, a middleweight, and I've got the best left hook in this whole damn tournament. And that's all you gotta know. So, with Confessions of a Fighter, that's what I believe what I was doing with this fight, writing this book, was a purging process. The fighting got a lot of my anger, all that out. That's the beauty of boxing. It was my crazy way to remain sane in boxing. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. Boxing was my crazy way to remain sane. But I have to admit that when you have a diet, a healthy diet, and you look forward to being angry, and your motivation is anger, it's a difficult habit to break sometimes. And there was still a little more residue to get out, a little more anger, and the book did it. So what the fighting got most of it, it scourged everything. It was a cathartic. And this got it out also. In the book, in writing this book, it was an interesting way. I have a very visceral feeling. It was like a layer cake. In writing it, let's start at the medias res. First